Hey, everybody, right back. How does that work? Yep, that worked. Okay. All right. I have a feeling Steve's already beat me in. But hey, I'm welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, subscribe, comment, even hit the thanks button. And a little trick on TV they taught me. When you have glass reflect because of lights, you put on fakes, just the frames. But it looks like me. You just and I can see you fine, but it doesn't do the glare. It's one of those inside TV stuff. All right. Anyway, hey Steve and David's here. Hopefully, I can read the questions right tonight. But welcome to the show once again. Here we are. No game to talk about from yesterday, but so what? There's always stuff to talk about on there. I was working on the playoff odds and all that today, so when a few more people jump on, we'll start talking that kind of stuff. Hope everybody's doing well. Michael's here. Good. Thanks, Michael. You get the bad guys when they come at us. Yeah, it was a nice week off from, Rivera gave me a week off. I talked nonsense a little bit, but did some other stuff around town. And if you live in the Washington area, there's a lot of great things. Although the next few days, we're going to have this African summit in town. Something like 60 heads of different countries. And so downtown's kind of locked down a bit, and it's not going to be easy to get around. But when it's all the National Christmas tree and all those kind of things, it's a good time. A lot of parties in Washington over the weekend. I can tell you that. A lot of parties. A lot of people out after 3 years of this nonsense lockdown. Everybody wants to go have some fun. And Michael said, "Yeah, San Francisco looks good with Purdy." Yep, you got that right. Purdy's a great example of something, which is coaches talk themselves into whatever they want to believe. But you always hear coaches say, "Oh, I want to play rookies. Oh, it's too hard." Look at this kid, last kid in the draft. Hasn't played a lick. Comes in and is lights out. Beats Brady in his first start. Only first quarterback to ever do that. Was throwing some frozen ropes. Did well. So I'm not afraid of Sam Howell ever gets to play this season. That would take an injury, but it just shows you that these guys can play if you adapt the game plan for them. I mean, they didn't get here by being stupid. They got here because they're good athletes and know how to do things. So Purdy pretty much exposed that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I saw he had a minor injury, and they're supposed to play Thursday, so I don't know what's going to happen to him. Could San Francisco be down to the next one? I mean, boy, San Francisco taking some hits, but they're still going. All right, David, what do I think about the reports of Dan is really planning to sell? Yeah, I think he really is planning to sell. There's no doubt of that. Whether he wants to or not, I think he has to sell at this point. The Congressional House Committee thing, man, that had mud thrown over everybody. What does it mean? Well, nobody's going to jail over it or anything. So, Dan doesn't talk to people who scold him every day. So what's he care? I mean, it exposed what went on, and it had its purpose, and it did what it was supposed to do. And now the Republicans are going to take over the committee. It's going away, and that's okay because they got everything out of it they needed anyway. So nothing new, but it just kind of confirmed a lot of the rottenness that was going on. Any news on St. Jude's? Asked Hank. Not yet. The team was off today as part of their extended vacation. Ron gave them the whole week off. That's unusual. Usually they make guys work for 2-3 days and then give them like 4 days off. Ron just said, "Hey, things are going great. Go have some fun." So they come back tomorrow, and then we'll talk to Ron tomorrow. And just stay tuned on here on YouTube or Twitter, that kind of stuff. We'll have it. The Wobo, are the Vikings the most counterfeit 10-win team ever? Well, they're definitely among them. I don't think they're as good as people think. I like Kirk personally, but this is not Fran Tarkenton leading the great teams. By the way, as you see on the whiteboard, all money donated tonight through the thanks button will go to the Toys for Tots drive at FedEx on Sunday. I will literally hand the Marines your money. And so if you want to donate something, hey, it's not me taking your money. It's kids going to have toys because of your money. So try and dig in a little bit, Ebenezer. Try and donate some money. I'm not getting any of it this week. I'm just donating it all. All right. Nobody wants to do business with Dan. That's right, Michael. Uh, let's see. Robert, looks like they're trying to make a Super Bowl run with who? Dallas or not sure which one. There's a few teams that are kind of looking hot. I mean, Detroit's looking good. It's just Detroit is a little behind. A bad start, they're not going to make it. Um, so oh, sorry, a message coming into me. Okay, so there you go. All right, Steve, thank you. $5 that goes to the toy drive. If somebody can have a ball, I mean, be amazed how they stretch the money. Have I been naughty or nice? Depends on who you ask. But I'd like to say nice, but if I can get away with something, it might be naughty. Let's see. So Robert's talking about the 49ers quarterback. Yeah, we were just talking about him, Purdy. He did. He was Purdy. I mean, he's heard that joke a lot. But I mean, he started for 4 years at Iowa State. I'm a little surprised he was the Mr. Irrelevant like that. I mean, he's got some skills. I was sitting there thinking, God, this kid looks young. He was born 4 days before 2000 came. So he was part of the last century by a few days. But, he does look young. But he's got a future. Anytime he does something like that, he's now bought himself years in the league. Robert, Detroit might make it. I just don't think they can. I was looking through some of the odds and such. So let's see. Detroit, the 6-7. I think they got to pretty much sweep out or at least win 3. And Detroit's playing the Jets at Carolina, Chicago, Green Bay. Good luck trying to win 3 of those. Maybe they can win. They could win 3, but it's not going to be easy. And that's not to say 9 and we'll see, what would they be then? 9-7. So you got to win. It'd be 9-8. I don't know if 9-8 is going to get it. I don't know if 9-8 is going to get it because Washington could be 9-7 on this. Let's see. Just looking at all right. Let's look at the Giants for a minute. Giants 7-5-1 have Washington. I think this is a big knockout game for the Giants more than Washington because of what the Giants are facing afterwards. So after Washington, they're at Minnesota, Indianapolis, and then at Philly again. Man, Philly took them apart. We can see New York is just going, So I don't think they're going to get there. I see them around 8-1. Dallas, I think, is going to go about 12-5. Oh, ball guy put in some money. Where you go? Could I please correctly pronounce Appomattox? That's the way I think it's said, Appomattox. Anyway, but thanks for your $5. We'll buy some kid a ball. You can buy basketballs like at Walmart or something for $5. I don't know where Toys for Tots goes shopping, but I think they can. They'll stretch your money farther than we probably could on all that. Let's see, who else we talking about? Seattle. Okay, here's the one you kind of worried about, 7-6. They've got the 49ers at Kansas City, Jets, Rams. Okay, you better be good because they need to win at least 2 of those, but 9-8 doesn't beat 9-7-1. I think that Seattle might be on the outside. And Carolina, 5-8. They've got to win their last 4. Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa, and New Orleans. I don't see that. I mean, Detroit's the team that's going to miss the playoffs, and everybody says, boy, they would have been a tough out. But, yeah, you start the year bad, you don't make it at the end. That's the way it goes. I mean, right now, I was just looking at the NFC. The Eagles, I knew the Eagles were going to be good, but wow. And Minnesota, I think, is a paper line. I don't really like them. San Francisco, I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen with their quarterbacking. So Tampa, Tampa's going to be like Washington was a couple years ago. And they'll be knocked out in probably the first round. Yeah, Ramon Taylor threw in some money for the kids. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do you think the O-line will hold up Sunday night? Yeah, I mean, they did okay the last time. I think, Washington gets a week off and New York has to play Philly and get beat up. So that definitely, and then New York's got to come to Washington too. So I think, they are on the downside of this kind of rematch. Non-revisionist. Oh, you bought my book. Thanks. I appreciate it. I mailed somebody one today. We haven't sold very many Commanders books this year. Got to tell you the truth. I'm surprised that nobody wants them because don't like the name. Yeah, the Redskins old edition I have is outselling the Commanders edition, and I don't have any of those, so I don't make any of the money. Amazon makes it. Let's see. Foot model. How far does Heineke get us to quiet the haters? Oh, Super Bowl or bust? Well, he gets to the Super Bowl, I think he wins over the haters, unless he has a bad game. Uh, you're kind of right about that. I think Heineke is in for as long as he wins, and when they start losing, if they start losing, I think he Wentz comes in. That's not what I would do necessarily, but that's what I think will happen. Big Cat Leonard Williams is digging up the D line for the Giants. Well, probably. I mean, hey, if the Giants can't get up for this game, then they're going to be sitting at home in January, mid-January. Let's see. Let's see. So, Country McLean, I haven't been married 42 years for your stupid comment. So let me hit the hide button, and we can just knock you out. If you don't like it, the way it goes. If you don't like my show, don't listen, don't watch. People say sometimes, "I hate your show," or whatever. Then don't watch. Nobody's asking you. I'm asking you not to watch. All right, Sean. Not that you were doing that, Sean. Feeling confident about the game this weekend. Can you say hi to my 4-year-old daughter, Charlie? She's watching with me. Hi, Charlie. Santa's coming. You never know what you're going to get. I'm going to tell Santa to bring you everything you want. So get ready for it all. Bob Baker's here. Great. Let's see. Al's old sidekick from the Redskin days, Kevin Bastine, is the Lions trainer. I didn't know Kevin was there now. But yeah, Kevin Bastine's a great one. And Al, I knew Al, who is Al Bellamy, who's the team's trainer in Washington now. He was assistant trainer here in the 90s. And great guy, does a great job for this team. Notice the injuries haven't been as much this year. Al's been doing this a long time. Was Dan's last meal wish the Sean Taylor mannequin, what he's talking about, hopes of ensuring Taylor's legacy will remain after Dan's departure? Bet it doesn't. Bet something else comes along. That's a good idea, though, Matthew. Ivan Gutierrez, you remember me? I said Redskins would win and go to the playoffs. Well, I don't remember that, Ivan, but okay, good for you. What can I say? I actually predicted that they could win 10 games and go to the playoffs this year before the season. And then when they started 1-4, I thought, I don't know. I guess it ain't going to happen. So maybe end up being right and they win 10, more or less. Commander's killing it. That's great, Ivan. I'm glad you're doing it. And you're going to buy a Redskins jacket. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. I was once in Tijuana a couple of days before 9/11. Washington's playing the Chargers. So John Kime and I went to Tijuana just to see it. And we were there, and there was this Redskins leather jacket that somebody made, when they're selling goods to you. It was an amazing thing. It was like $60. I didn't want to buy it. A friend of mine was like, well, you nuts. You should have bought it. I'd have bought it. John and I were just hanging out in Tijuana. David, was Jerry Jones talking up Dan and saying this report was political? Well, it was political in some respects. It's also right. It doesn't so just because it's political doesn't make it wrong. Still a high percentage Dan sells the team, asked RB. Yeah, I would put it at 90% that he's going to sell. Let's see. How good do I think Dallas really is? Non-revisionist asked. I think they're good enough to get to the second round of the playoffs, and that's it. I don't see them going farther than that. Will the fans show up Sunday night? Asked Hank. I think maybe there'll be more Commanders fans than Giants fans. It's going to be close. And that's an improvement over recent years. So I think, between it being a night game, so maybe not quite as many New Yorkers come down for that kind of thing. That might help a little. Washington attendance has been up this year some. There's still been a lot more visiting fans. Bob, thanks for the info, Bob. Okay, somebody's talking about politics again. Am I going Sunday night? Yes, I will be there. Night game. I'm getting old for night games, but you can't miss games like this. Draft a quarterback or free agent quarterback next year, Ron Revisionist asked. I think they probably go for a free agent. I don't know who it is. And I still want to see what Sam Howell's about and see what there's a lot left in the quarterback battle this next month. Robert says the only concern for the Commanders, they've been through 4, with centers, I assume you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, weird. They lost a bunch of centers last year and this year. That's such a weird thing. Are we finally going to see Chase Young? Asked Carnes. No idea. I don't think we're going to know again until Sunday. They're going to play the same game. Well, he looks good. We'll see how he looks by Friday. And on Friday, well, we'll see. We'll take it to Sunday. Okay, whatever. Um, let's see. Andrew says Wentz will be back after one or two losses from Taylor. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. If they lose a couple games, I could see Ron making a switch. Right now, he's committed to Taylor, but when things go bad, if they go bad, then I could see it. Sean says if Detroit makes it in, they could be trouble. Yeah, I mean, they'll be the hot team. If they make it in, they're the hot team. Is Ken Fuller back next year? Asked non-revisionist. I would say yes. I mean, he's getting paid decent money, but the cap's going up, I think, $12 million next year. And they're doing different things with the cap. If Carson doesn't come back, that frees up money. Maybe Deron Payne gets a lot of it, maybe not. So we'll see. We'll see what who owns the team by then, who's willing to spend money. And there's so much of that going on. Okay. The Commanders just texted stuff. Wonder what they want. They want to know if I want to buy tickets. No. Okay. Weird. So Bob says, so what do I think about the Terps playing in the Mayo Bowl? I was sitting there going, the Mayo Bowl? And then it dawned on me, I do know this mayonnaise company that I do eat their product. But what a weird name. I don't know how NC State played this year, since Washington's not in Maryland's not in the ACC anymore. But always up for kicking the Wolfpack's butt. All right. What about Holcomb next year? Asked Road Bull. I think iffy, and it also depends on a few things. But I mean, it's another surgery. I don't know. I think they'll try and upgrade off of there. Caleb Williams would look good in a Terps uniform, said non-revisionist. Yeah, but Maryland can't get those kind of players, at least not yet, and they never really have. But there's a ton of talent, football talent in the Washington area. At one time, there were more Washington players in the ACC than any other area, even in Florida, which it's hard to believe. But football, I started out covering high school football, but that was long ago. But there's a lot of good ball players around here. That's why other teams come here to get cherry pick and get the good ones. Who's coordinating the sale of RFK? DC Armory or Dan? Well, Dan has nothing to do with it, ball guy. DC Events is the name of it, which is part of the DC city's government. And they're overseeing all this. And they're charging people $400 for a seat plus 9% taxes, and you had to go pick them up. Yeah, forget that, man. That's highway robbery. I just thought it was, and they said, "Oh, we do this and this and this." Whatever. It's still too much. Let's see. Bob said, Bob's giving the scout report on NC State was decent. Mark, and so it'd be a good game because Maryland was decent. On their good days, they were pretty good. Do I think next season's quarterback situation depends at all on the new ownership? Ask Tinsley. Well, you can never say no to that. But if a new person comes in on the eve of the season, it's hard for them to really have an opinion in 23. Now, 24, yeah. Why don't even acknowledge people from the UK, Horse Manhattan? We're big football fans here too. Oh, I got a lot of followers in the UK. I think about 150 on Twitter. So I talk to a bunch of them all the time. And whenever I go over there, everyone go to see Premier League darts, and we're all going to get drunk and have a hell of a good time. So you can come too. And you're going to get your own football team there. I think 2025 maybe is when the NFL expands. And London will get 2 teams. Germany will get a team. I'm not sure who the other one is yet. Josh Kirby's here, the up-and-comer. I'm glad to see you're coming to the show. Thanks. Josh is going to replace me one day. But you better hurry up on all this. Let's see. Trying to expand in Canada, asked Robert. Yeah, but where do you go? Well, Toronto's too close to Buffalo. That would be a big fight. Baseball, I can see going back to Montreal. I'm not sure football. And you got your own league. I'm sure that would create a lot of this and that. Would Dan refuse to sell to Bezos? Well, RB, it just depends on the figure. He's free to sell it whomever he wishes. So if the offers are close, then he could pick which one he wants. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know what that means, Michael. All right. Horseman says, also fans, that's who we thought you were. Okay. Do I like real grass or artificial turf? Asked Marcus. Well, I think real grass is always the best. I mean, I've walked on artificial turf. I've never played on it, but I've walked on it, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, excuse me. Artificial. Some of these new turf fields they have, man, they're amazing. They have bounce to them, and maybe they're not quite as good as grass, but they're pretty cool. And for a dome situation, they're remarkable, I think. When the NFL expands in Europe, will they be doing the expansion draft? I'm sure they will. In 4 teams, ooh, man, that's a lot. Never done 4 at one time in recent memory, at least. They've always done 2. Josh, best press box I've ever been in. I like the Giants one was really good in the old stadium. So was the Patriots. That's a good question, man. Dallas moved the press box around a lot on there. Worst one was St. Louis, the Rams. They built the Rams new stadium when the Rams came from LA. They literally forgot to put in a press box. So they had to put us at the very top, and we were right in front of all the speakers. And it was brutal. Brutal. Kyler Murray just went down. I'm watching the game. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Wait. Let's see. All right. I'm going to swap over. See if I can get away with all the glasses now. The light's changed. Yeah, okay. Now I can read better. When would Dan announce the new mascots? Better be the last game. It won't be Dan because he doesn't say anything. But last game against Dallas. So I think it'll be a hog too. What's the favorite Colt McCoy memory? Asked Robo. I don't know. He was a nice guy, but and he had talent. He got hurt. A couple chances that he had, he got hurt. Have ever seen Calgary's press box in hockey? No, Josh. I haven't been to Calgary. Almost went once to cover the rodeo, but didn't get a chance. And for that, I had waivers. I decided said I would dress in cowboy gear. You couldn't to cover it. You couldn't just come in my T-shirt or whatever. You had to dress up like that. We were trying to figure out how much it was going to cost, but I didn't get a chance to do it. Let's see. I'll take the catwalk to get there. Ooh, okay. Robert, I just read the 49ers quarterback's injured. Yeah, he's got a oblique injury. And for it being Thursday, that's a quick turnaround. I'm not sure who's the quarterback next on that. Biggest jerk, asked Steve. Parcells, Ditka, or Belichick? Parcells. Ditka, I've only got to meet Ditka once. I don't know. He is who he is. And Belichick is who he is. I don't know if you would call them jerks as more grouchy old men, but Parcells could be a pain. Buddy Ryan, even bigger than them. Let's see. Josh says, is the best way to the next game going to be the Morgan Street Metro? Yes. Takes about a 1-minute walk. If you're taking the Metro, you go to that Morgan Street, and then you just walk straight, come out of the Metro, turn left, follow the sidewalk straight to the stadium. It's about a 10, 15-minute walk. But it's a nice, safe area and a lot of fans around. You'll be fine. Well, I should say this. If you come into the night game, I'm not sure that you can come to the Metro on it, but I'm not sure that you can leave if the Metro will be staying late enough because they've cut back a lot in recent years. So I don't know. That's something to check out this week. Is Richie Pettibone still in the area? Non-revisionist asked. Yes, but I haven't seen him in a while. It's been I haven't seen anybody in a while because of the pandemic. Maybe 3 years, something like that. But Richie's still around. Let's see. Bob asks, favorite coach, Gibbs, Norv, Zorn, or Ron? I don't know, man. I mean, I got along with all of them, so I didn't hate any of them. If you had said Shanny or Schottenheimer, I wouldn't have said yes to them. They're all good, decent guys. They had their job to do. I had mine. So let's see, what is it? 8:25. All right, so new guys cycle through. We got a decent crowd tonight. If you see on the whiteboard, if you hit the thanks button, which is just down here somewhere, um, all that money is going to Toys for Tots. I'll take it to the Marines myself on Sunday's game. I think they're doing Toys for Tots this week. If they're not, I'll find another place for it. But they typically do the last home game before Christmas, and that's what this one is. Because the next week is Christmas Eve, San Francisco at night. I don't know how I'm going to see any of that game because I have family obligations for that one. And then let's see. Let's see. Who was worse, Bruce or Serrato? Asked RB. Bruce. I didn't like Bruce at all. Didn't like Benny at all either. Do I think George Mason will get a football team? Asked non-revisionist. Well, they tried. This has been going on for like 20 years now or something. I remember writing about it when I was at the Times years ago. And they want to, and the school is big enough, but the school doesn't see it as that kind of a mission. Dizzy asks, is Charlie Castler still around? Yeah, absolutely. Still lives in Washington. Hear from him occasionally. He did go, after being fired by Snider, he did go to Houston for, I think, 7 years there and ran them. Let's see. Josh B throwing some money. Thank you, Josh. So some kid will have a brand new toy to play with on Christmas thanks to that. And it's time. You got to give money to somebody, once in a while. It's Christmas time. We did the fundraiser for the food bank a couple shows back. We raised $50. So hopefully we can raise another 50 here for the toy drive. And after that, we can raise 50 for me. But yeah, whatever. As long I cannot imagine kids waking up on Christmas and not having anything. Because I grew up kind of modest, but we still had stuff there. My parents were Great Depression kids, and they would talk about, as they call them, the relief people, would hand out oranges on Christmas, and that's what they got. They got an orange for Christmas. Can you imagine? Both my parents were, tough times, and they didn't want to hear no stuff out of me. When you grow up without, like my father grew up in a shack in Carolina with no water or electricity, they don't want to hear any complaining from you. And so, I just think about kids that grow up and have nothing under the tree for Christmas. I mean, who do you think they're going to grow up to be? The great citizens of the world? Because that's kind of disappointing as a child. So let's try and help out. Hit the thanks button. I'll kick it in. Any advice writing articles, Josh? Just keep writing them all. Eventually, you'll write a good one. That's what happened to me. Did I ever see an NFL coach rock a cowboy hat like Bum Phillips? Bald guy says. He was good at it. I'll say that. I met some of Bum's kids. They're all like that. How often do you get lobster rolls? Marcus asked. Whenever I can get a chance, but I would say I've done it maybe twice this year. There's a place called Mason's in Georgetown. You can get a lobster roll for, I think it's $17-18. Really good. Theirs are excellent. Do I think Washington will get a middle linebacker in the draft or free agency? Carlton asked. Well, Carlton's back. Maybe. Yeah, they'd like one, but sometimes you gotta pick what you can get. Okay, J Dubs. We've seen this team have opportunities and blow them. Yeah, what's the sign this team's really ready? I understand. Last year they won 4 straight, got in position to do something, and then lost the last 5. That they've stayed relatively healthy is a big sign. That they played pretty consistently in the last 6-7 weeks has been a good sign. So, and I think they have more healthy people than in recent years. So, I think those are all good signs. Augustine the King says Commanders are 49ers better playoff contender. 49ers if they're healthy at quarterback. Let's see. Bob says nephew goes to Mason's. Yeah, Mason's really good. So the administration is pretty much against football and wants to spend the money pretty much all on academic stuff better than football. Oh, okay, we're talking about George Mason. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Mason's Lobster. Yeah, they're really not on to football. It's not going to I don't think it's going to happen. Paul Green, Tom Landry's hat was cool. I met Landry one time at a big NFL party. Man, he was a serious dude, but very, very disciplined person. Carlton, Norv Turner's son, should they make offensive line coach change? Not at this point. We can talk about it again in the offseason. Do I think the team beats the Browns, J Dubs? Yes, they beat them like a drum. Justin, we got to beat the Giants. Yeah, that's right. This is the game. I mean, this is the game that really matters because it's a tiebreaker, too. If you beat the Giants or the Giants beat Washington, they're up by 1 with 3 to go, but technically you have the tiebreaker. You're really up 2 with 3 to go. That's a big advantage. Keeping up with the Joneses, would you prefer in a first-round playoff game, Minnesota, San Francisco, or South champion? South champion, which I guess is Tampa. But they almost beat Minnesota. We'll see what happens in San Francisco. I have a feeling they're going to lose that game. Timeliness. You think Dan would have been a better owner? You would think that Dan would have been a better owner. I know it's his favorite team, all that, but his favorite team is the green money team. All right, obey the Lord. Oh, you're back. Okay. Wentz I guess you're never really gone if you're a Lord, but Wentz deserves to be back for sure. Okay, well, I don't know. When you're winning, you ride that horse. It's just like when Doug Williams took over for Jay Schrader, took him through the Super Bowl. Really, it was Jay's team. What's the top of my Christmas wish list, C.M. Martin says? I have not even given it a thought. I just moved last month, and I've been still putting things away. And I guess I wish that Santa and his elves would come put everything away in this house and finish putting everything together, and I'd be happy. So as long as I have my health, and you learn that as you get older, get your health. The rest of it doesn't matter. It's not like I get anything fun. The only clothes I ever get are with my wife and daughters buy me at Christmas. So I guess you guys should be hoping for some new clothes for me. Do I expect any tricks from Scott Sunday night? Asked Bob. I expect 1 or 2. I mean, you just played each other, so you got to try something new. Dizzy, did I ever know Ken Beatrice? Oh, yeah, I knew Ken real well. Great guy. Kind of talked forever. This show would have been perfect for Big Ken. Boy, Ken could talk forever. He talked the ears off a donkey. And then when he retired, he at a church, he would teach people how to be the cantors. So he passed away a few years ago. One of the nicest, gentlest men you'd ever meet. The beginning of sports talk. Did Dan get a gift as a kid? Asked Robert. I guess. Non-revisions. Does the front office stay intact with new ownership? Probably not, because that's what new owners often do. I mean, maybe not the first day, but like Dan pretty much came in and fired everybody pretty quickly. My opinion of Bryce Young, asked Sheldon. Obviously a very talented person. I don't really know him that well, studied him that well. I've just kind of seen stuff. I'd have him on my team. Who do I want starting? Heineke or Howe? Asked Mr. Cool. Oh, I like that, Mr. Cool. Heineke right now. In the future, maybe Howe. But right now, it's not the time for change. You've rode this horse to the brink. You ride this guy all the way to the end, if you can. You don't want to make changes in December. Let's see. Bob says, he used to call Ken all the time. Yeah. Ken would do the show, from, I think, till 11 at night. And then whoever was left on the line, he'd just stay and talk to them for a while before he went home. Who does that? Fazal Malik, we need to go 2-2 to make the playoffs. I would agree with that. I think you got to win 2, and I think that gets in, especially if one of the 2 is against New York. Let's see. Carlton. Why Terry doesn't get the ball like most receivers that double team? Well, they've got other guys to throw it to, which is part of it. They're trying to run the ball more now, which is part of it. But Terry, if it's a 50-50 ball, Terry's going to get most of them. He's really good at that. I think Wentz is going to play this year. Taylor's going to get hurt, says Carlton. I don't know if he get hurt, but if he gets a minor injury, they might make a change. You know how that works. You're next on Sports Call. Strong Boston accent. Ken was a lot of fun. All right, keeping up with the Joneses. Do you see Washington perhaps going after Lamar Jackson? Nah, I'm not sure I would. I don't know. He's got some miles on him too. He's a nice quarterback. I don't know if he's a great quarterback. I think you'd overpay for him. And I think he'll stay with the Ravens. Any idea on the new coach at Navy? Asked Snider Vision. When they lost that game, it went through my mind, you know what? This might be the end of this guy. But people loved him, and I think he did a great job at Navy. But I haven't heard who it is. I used to cover Navy press conferences. Oh, back in the '80s, I was covering Navy some, and Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday press conferences. They used to have the major steaks and potatoes and all, and you saw all the admirals on the base wherever down in Annapolis would show up to eat, and I'd be sitting there eating, lunch with the admirals because they wanted to eat that steak. I asked about it recently. They told me they don't do that anymore. So everybody cuts back. JD McKissick's status. He is on IR. CM, so we won't see him again this year. Silly Goose. I remember Lou Piniella as a manager. Yeah, sure. Used to scream and yell and kick dirt on people. Yeah. He's like Earl Weaver. I mean, back then, all of them did it. Now, some of them do it. And Obey the Lord says, if Wentz comes in, things get interesting. Absolutely. Yeah. Bob said, have I thought about trying to acquire something from the old RFK press box? Well, I was thinking about just taking one of my metal folding chairs and swearing it was one of them, because that's what we sat on, was metal folding chairs. I mean, there wasn't anything else in there to take. The heat was broken, there was no AC, that kind of thing. So there really wasn't anything left for us. So maybe I'll just say my metal chair came and saved money. Let's see. Timeliness. Did Snider make the Skins one of the most profitable teams in the league? No, because a lot of teams have passed them. He's lost ground. He's riding the coattails of other teams into joint agreements to make the money. And that's one of the things the other owners really get tired of, is Dan's costing them money, because Washington was the big payday. They were the big 70, 80,000 crowd where visiting team gets 40% of the tickets. By the team stinking more, they don't make as much, and they are upset about that. Who's the better offensive player, McLaurin or Brian Robinson? Asked DGM Plays Z. McLaurin. But Robinson's a nice player, but McLaurin. If you had to say pick one, I'm taking Terry. Let's see. Do we think we'll see the team move on from Bostic this offseason or NRG? Yeah, I think it was just another gap situation. That was weird how he didn't re-sign him until the brink of the season. Bob says Bob has ties to the Navy situation. He says the leading candidates are interim coach Brian Newberry, which they promoted Ken when he became it, former Navy assistant Brian Bohannon, who's currently head coach at Kennesaw State. Wow, where is that? Is that Arkansas? Forget. Being a Navy coach is more than just X's and O's, man. You got to know. You got to be like a Navy guy. You got to understand the military. And you got to understand so many things that other coaches never deal with. All right. How some games we could win with Heineke being in the season? I believe some throws he misses Wentz would make, says Aveda Lord. Yes. Wentz can make some plays that Heineke can't, but Heineke can make some plays that Wentz can't, which is like, we need more than, we don't need another statue at FedEx like Wentz is. Curtis Samuel has 1 year left on his deal. Yeah, it's going quick, J-Dubs. He's showing up for an extension. Yeah, I think so. But who's coaching a team? Who owns the team? You change that kind of dynamic, maybe they don't want to. But under the current regime, absolutely they resign him. Scott Frost's name also mentioned, says Bob, for Navy. So there you go. You're getting good inside info. Bob knows what he's talking about with Navy. DJ. Heineke's not the answer if they want to win a Super Bowl. I kind of agree with that. I hate to say it, but he's good at what he's doing. He's a good spot starter, good reliever. I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback. And that's not to disparage him. It just is what it is. We all have our limitations. Kennesaw's in Georgia. Okay. Sorry. Never covered them. Is Jahan Dotson being underused, Mr. Cool asked? Well, yeah. I mean, I said he wouldn't have 50 catches this season, and everybody yelled at me. But I didn't think he'd get the opportunities. And then, of course, he got hurt, which takes away even more. But, they're fixated on Terry. Samuel gets his chances, and Jahan's third right now. I mean, he only got one ball. But he's making do with what he has, and he had a great move to tie the game against the Giants. Justin Taylor was way better pocket awareness than Carson. Yeah, I agree with that. Wentz sacks were killing him. Trent Williams is in the Ring of Honor after his career is over. Yeah, I would think so. Okay. Did you ever watch the Hunt Johnson at Penn State? Just when they played Maryland that one time, J-Dubs. Can't watch so much college football. I'm too busy. Let's see. Slam and Jammin's here tonight. Okay. Is Wes Schweitzer the best option at center over Nick Martin? I said Wes Martin the other day, didn't I? So the answer, I think, to that is probably yes. And I think Schweitzer will be the starter on Sunday, but we're going to find out more tomorrow on that. Will we see Washington play on February 12th, DGM? Um, Depends on what we're talking about. The Super Bowl? I don't think so. I think Washington can go around or so in the playoffs, and that's probably it. You're getting serious when we get down to the end. Sort of like this World Cup. Now you're seeing the serious teams coming in. All right, DJ. Coach Ron keeps talking about winning a Super Bowl this year. Can't do it with Heineke. Well, you can. Listen, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, although he had a good game that day. I covered that one with Baltimore. We've seen a couple very average quarterbacks win Super Bowls because they knew they didn't screw it up. So, yes, Taylor could win one, but it won't be because of him so much. But like I said, Trent Dilfer helped win that Super Bowl that day. He was really good. Justin, the O-line's weak. Well, yeah, but I think they played better than we expected. I'll say that. Best arm I've ever seen in football, not revisionist, Sonny Jurgensen. Sonny could do amazing stuff. He could throw the ball behind his back in his prime. He could still do it in his 70s. Sonny had a great arm. He could do anything. Let's see. Oh, Bob's got to go. Hey, Bob, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Steve, do I think the Panthers keep Steve Wilkes the coach next year? Yeah, the way they're going, I don't see why not. I mean, it's not so much how you start as how you finish. So I would like to think they would. So it's 8:42. So we cycle people in. Most people only stay about 10 minutes. And so if it sounds like I'm being redundant, it's because it's new people listening. But as you see on the whiteboard, the thanks button down below where you can donate money. This week, the money is going to Toys for Tots, which is at the stadium on Sunday. So we're just trying to help kids out in D.C. We're trying to raise some money to think about, not getting a present at Christmas. Man, it's got to suck. And there are kids that don't. So, if we can throw in a few bucks, there'll be a few kids that get something that wouldn't have. And you got to feel good about that. RB, why didn't Pettibone return to coaching after Washington? Because Jack Kent Cook paid him extra money not to. He didn't want him back in the league anywhere else. And so in his severance pay, he gave him an extra year to stay out of the league. And then Richie decided, hey, I like retirement. So there you go. Dizzy, could I make some Rick Snider's Washington merch? I don't know. Somebody asked me that the other day. That I have stuff that women could wear, and I'm like, this kind of stuff cracks me up. So I don't think so, but we'll see how demand is. I'd make one, somebody buy it, and that would be all. I mean, you guys aren't even buying the Commanders book this year. 100 Things Commanders fans should know and do before they die was the updated version of the Redskins book that the publisher had me do. I've sold hardly any because people don't want to do the name. So I can't make you. But if you want to do it, go to my website, Monumental Thoughts. I'll sign it for you. DJ, if Washington has to choose between Payne and Young, okay. If you have to choose between Payne and Young, I say to take Payne. Because Young will be more money. I mean, it won't be like you can have them both for the same dollar amount. But it's also a different year, so that'll never happen. If you talk more, would be Payne and Sweat would be more of a choice. Close, they're only 1 year apart on contracts, and I would take Payne. Let's see. King says Scott's terrible. Come on, Scott. King, be nice. It's Christmas time. Now Revision's got to go. All right, man. Where are you guys gonna go? Game getting good somewhere? All right. Nothing on TV. Burrows is on Manning Castle. I bet that's good, Marcus. All right, Steve, kicked in a few bucks. Thanks. That's for the kids. Which rant was better, Moore's playoffs or Herm Edwards? You play to win the game. Edwards. I mean, the playoff thing was kind of like a chicken, where Herm would go, "You play to win the game," and that was a good one too. And Dennis Green, what was his? I forget. He had a really good one. I think I was there that day that happened. Honest Brute, there you go. Thank you, Honest Brute, for throwing some money to the kids. Oh, you like my ghost history vids? Thanks. I was in Stephen Decatur house the other night. Somebody gave me invitation to White House function at the Decatur house, which is just down the street from the White House. And Stephen Decatur died in a duel in the house, and people say that he haunts it. But I was there, and I didn't feel him haunting it. But I wasn't there long enough, I guess. But thanks for the money, so the kids can have something. If Heineke loses the game against the Giants, does Washington put in another quarterback in the game? DJ asked. Probably not, but nothing's forever. I don't know. They are who we thought they were. That's right. Yeah, Michael, I got it. Steve, they are who. Okay, Steve got it too. Thanks. I'm getting old. I forget all this stuff. And unknown had it. Okay, so all of y'all knew. All right, so all of you knew it, and I forgot it. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. I can't remember all this stuff. I've got more years to remember. 44 years covering DC sports. So, I've forgotten more than a lot of people know. That's the sad part. That's true. I don't remember things you say. In 2006, they played this. I cannot remember stuff like that. Now, if I look it up on the list, look at the box score, I can. There's a chance I will. But I've covered hundreds of Redskins Commanders games, so they kind of blur on that, and that's okay. It's just part of getting old. Don't get old; it sucks. But still here. All right, let's see. We've got a few minutes to go. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What's the crowd? The crowd numbers are okay today. Yeah, because now I'll be back next week. I'm going Mondays through at least the season, and then we'll see after that what we're doing. See if people still want to do it. It's just me sitting here talking in my den, so it's not like it's a hard job on any of this. Like I said, if anybody wants to throw some money in, we'll make sure the kids get it, and they'll buy toys for them. And like I said, that and hunger. I mean, it's just amazing that people don't have anything to eat in this country. Some people too. It's hard to believe. Favorite beach vacation spot? Ask RB. I like the Outer Banks. I like Miami. There, I haven't been in a while, but Miami's awesome, especially in the winter. On there, but I'm not as much, and I go to the beach a lot, but I'm not as big a beach person as if you said, "All right, this coming summer we're going to go somewhere on vacation." My wife and I, we used to travel a lot until the pandemic. I think I'll be heading to Europe or something like that. The beach, just sitting on the beach doing nothing. It just bores me. Okay. Myrtle Beach. All right. I've never been to Myrtle Beach. Well, that's one I have been to pretty much everything from the Jersey beaches down to the North Carolina beaches. Been to all of them. And Ocean City's better lately than I thought. I went last year, and Delaware beaches are okay. Biggest game at FedEx since 2012, our NRG says. Yeah, because that was the last postseason game too, I guess, right? 2012. So it's been a long time since they had anything really big. We'll see if they win it. I don't know. I expect them to beat New York. I think New York is trending down, and they got a beat down by Philly. But that's not to say that their adrenaline couldn't rise to the challenge here. I mean, last game was 2020. That was a pretty good game last week when they tied. Both teams really went at it. Did I cover the body bag game? No, I did not. I don't think I did. What year was that? I'm pretty sure I didn't cover that one. Was that the Buddy Ryan year too and all? Buddy Ryan's gone now. He was an amazing guy. I once had to go talk to Buddy Ryan for a horse racing story. He owned horses. He was after his football career ended. I went to Louisville and met him, and I met him at a small farm he was using. And we got there at sunrise. My photographer wanted to kill me, but in horse racing, if you're there by sunrise, you're late. And we had to do stuff like walk horses, do a gelding. There was a foaling, which I foaled a horse when I was 16, so I've done that. And after we did all that for a few hours, Buddy, I sat in his office, just in a tack room on the straw for like 2 hours and talked. And I asked him about hitting Kevin McBride, and he kind of laughed and said he'd do it again. He's like, "What? You know where he is? Let me go get him again." Buddy never gave up, man. Favorite Washington player of all time, Mr. Cool asked. I get this question all the time. I don't know that I have one per se. Mark Mosley was my favorite growing up, even over Sonny for some reason. But Sonny and I are very good friends too. So there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of great guys that if you get to know them, I'd say 98% of the team are great guys to hang out with. Body bag was 90. Okay, so yeah, I didn't cover that game. Okay, favorite Joe Gibbs story. Whew, that's a long one, RB. But Gibbs, there's a million Gibbs stories out there. I'll have to get to them another time. Do I remember the moon landing? Yeah, absolutely, Marcus. So I remember my dad was like, my dad hardly ever watched TV, and he was like, "Hey, we gotta watch this." So it was a big deal. It was the day after my birthday when I was a kid. The JFK assassination, I remember the funeral a little, but I was really young, and uh, my mother was actually on the street as they took the caisson by to Arlington Cemetery, and they stopped. And my mother was among the people in the crowd who reached out and touched the casket. I mean, today they would have gone ballistic, but back then you could do things like that in Washington. So I kind of remember the drama going on around it, but that's all. Would I trade for Jordan Love? Nah, nah. Road Bull, did you talk with Bruce Smith when he was in Washington? Yeah. I mean, Bruce talked to us occasionally. He was kind of distant about it at times, but occasionally he was a nice guy enough. I had no problem with him. He was he hated Marty. Man, he hated Marty. Uh, Marty always, I mean, Bruce is a sure Hall of Famer, and so was Darryl Green, and Marty was always giving them a hard time, and just to show he was tough and wouldn't cut them a break. And when he wouldn't let Bruce go to Marv Levy's Hall of Fame induction, even though the team veterans had off that day, and he just wouldn't let him go. And so the next day, Bruce got speared by some rookie guard, and he's like, "Oh!" And I thought, "Oh, we're not going to see Bruce for the rest of training camp," and we didn't. It was like 3 weeks. Bruce took off on that. RB's got to go. Okay, thanks for coming by, RB. We got a few minutes left in the show here, and then we'll be going too. Like I said, so yeah, Belzy's with me tonight. Finally got Belzy. I've almost got my new office, and I'm gonna have more stuff over here, so you can see souvenirs and junk over the years. I don't have a lot of souvenirs, but I do have some. I don't know things I moved after 35 years. I moved about 6 weeks ago. I was surprised some of the stuff I had. Who is more talented, Mark Rippon or Jay Schrader? As time on us, from a pure, athleticism part, Jay. But Mark was smarter and knew how to get people to play for him better. So I'd take Mark over Jay any day. But Jay could throw the ball. There's no doubt of that. Just nobody liked him, and his teammates didn't want to play for him. They all loved Mark, and they would play for him. And there is something to that. I mean, players still want to win no matter what. They won't lose a game because they don't like somebody. But there's different levels of this. Worst fight I ever saw of players in training camp, Steve. Well, Steve, I saw quite a few. And what I would always do afterwards, they come off the field, I go, "Hey, man, I saw what he did with you. That was a cheap shot." And then tell me it. And then I go find the other guy and say, "Hey, man, I saw what he did to you. That was a cheap shot." And then he'd tell me his side of it. The weirdest one was Gus Farrak got in a fight with Ryan Keel. Because Gus threw an interception, and Ryan Keel chicken winged him as he was running over to get the interception guy. And then Gus turned back around and smacked Ryan. And it wasn't an ugly fight, but it was an unusual fight. I mean, I remember James Washington was fighting I forget his name. It was Sterling Sharp, not Sterling Sharp, something like Sterling something. I forget his name, but they're both defensive players, and they're in the dirt fighting. That was a good one. I like the fights as long as nobody really gets hurt. They're fine. Let's see. Steve says, "Oh, you thought okay with a wall? No, he didn't get in a fight with a wall. He lost that one. I remember seeing Gus's eyes glazed over in the locker room as he walked out. That was like one of the first real concussions that they suddenly kept him away from the media and appreciated what was going on there with that. That was 97, so that's been 25 years. More, yeah, 25 years. So before then, concussions weren't the same thing. I mean, I think I suffered a couple when I was playing ball as a teenager, and nobody ever talked about that. You got your bell rung, but you know, these retired players, they all have some hard lives physically afterwards. You're lucky is the man who walks away from the NFL intact and stays that way. Not many of them do. And we all know the dangers going into this, and they get paid good money and all that. But it still sucks when you're late in life and your health is going on you. So I had my big scare this past year, and I was very lucky that it turned out to be nothing. But man, it sucks when you get old and things like that are happening. You're wondering why, why, So I guess I got caught up on all the questions. Wow, good for that. So, we actually have more people now than ever. So, all right, since the newcomers throwing money to the thanks button, it goes to Toys for Tots. We're going to give some kids that are, I would like to think they're Commanders fans. We're going to make sure the kids have some Christmas cheer. We don't want somebody's kid to not have a present on Christmas Day. Come on, we indulge our own kids too much, or my grandkids. I'd rather see somebody with nothing get something. So I will personally hand the money over. It's not going to me this week. All right, let's see. Saw a news clip years ago about Earl Campbell. Yeah, barely getting around, Steve says. I can tell you those stories time after time. Scott, you finally get here? Good Lord, what's going on? The Sunday score for the Washington Giants game. I want to say 2017 Washington. I think it's a 3-point game, and I think but maybe it's 24-20, something like that. It's a 4.5-point spread. I tell you what. Give the points, take the over 40. I think there will be more than 40 points scored, I guess, even though I just said the opposite a moment ago. But who's listening? So those guys in Vegas are sharp. I think Washington will get into the 20s, and I think they'll win this game. But we'll see. 35-33 Washington, says Mr. Cool. I don't think so, Mr. Cool. I mean, that would be interesting. We'd be there till 2 in the morning, but no. Yeah, Scott's late. Okay, well, that's all right, Scott. People are late sometimes. Score for the Commanders-Bucks game in Week 19. Okay, so Washington wins the first round of the playoff game, 23-21. There you go. Bank that one. I get scores right occasionally. Blind squirrels find acorns. I've done it a couple times. I picked Washington to beat the Giants last time, 20-17. So I was close. Keeping up with Jones, Terry needs more red zone targets. Well, I don't know. You just have so many guys. They definitely have to get better tight end play out of this game. Man, that was the worst game of the season by tight ends in the first time against the Giants. Logan had a bad game. Penalties and all. That's a key. That tight ends got to be playing better in this game. I think it'll be a more physical game, too, because they know each other now, and they're all mad about the last one in a tie, and everybody knows what's going to happen here. All right, Marcus going 24-13 Commanders. There you go. Take it. Yeah, nice score. I mean, nice thing about Taylor, if he's down the fourth quarter, he's not afraid to try and still win the game. I like that about him and everything. Anybody else have some scores you want to throw up there? Let's go ahead. I hadn't done this before, but why not? Pick the score. Who else got it? Scott, 23-19 Washington. Absolutely. Who else is out there? Let's see your scores. Why not? That's a 4-point spread, Scott. You kill me. That's a 4.5, in Vegas. Yeah. Maybe somebody will tackle Daniel Jones this time, says Michael. Yeah, you're right. That surprised me a lot that Daniel Jones got away with as much as he did. They got to stop that, too. Timeless Taylor was a winner. Absolutely. Kids done great. Commander spy Daniel Jones, the unknown isms asked. They should, and they did have a spy on him sometimes, including one of the long runs. Just a spy got knocked out of the way and couldn't make the tackle on one of those long runs. Do I think Taylor will run a little more this time? Robert asked. I think he should. That's what he does best. Do what you do best, instead of what they want you to do at times. Let's see. The unknown ism thinks Commanders 27-20. Good. Man, they scored 27 with no defensive help. That's good. Dizzy thinks Commanders 17, Giants 16. Ooh, tight. I wonder if anybody out there is picking the Giants. I was on the Giants podcast last time because a very old friend of mine does the Giants podcast for Bleacher Report. I hired him in 1981 at a small paper. So we're still friends. And he says, "What do you think the score is?" I said, "Washington 45-0." I said it with a straight face, and he looked at me for a minute like, "Really?" Like, no, I'm not picking anybody 45-0. I took Houston in the 17.5 yesterday because yes, teams win by that much, but I'd rather take 17 than give it. Keep it up says Washington 23-16. There you go. Scott says the Giants are a corpse after yesterday. Yeah, I kind of think that the Giants reporter is saying it's a little unfair how Washington doesn't have to play anybody. Well, you know what? New York played on Thanksgiving, so they had 4 extra days rest and hosted the game against Washington. So it's kind of a payback in a way that Washington got the bye on this end of it. The Washington and Giants once played 3 straight games against each other in 1943. Washington started the season 6-1 and lost their last 3, including 2 to the Giants, lost both games, and then beat them in the playoffs 28-0 en route to the championship game. So it does happen. John, thank you so much for the money, and that'll go to the kids. That'll buy something nice, maybe 2 presents or something. So there you go. Be like John. Little holiday spirit here. Ho, 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 and mistletoe. We're trying to help the kids. So I will definitely put that in there. Let's see. NRG, Commanders 23-17. I can see that one. James B says, hi. How you doing, James? Well, yeah, I'll go a few extra minutes. Why not? Got nothing to do. My wife's watching the Hallmark Channel on my big new TV, so it's not like I'm in a hurry. Steve, do I think Snider being an owner is a factor in keeping Jacoby or Mitchell out of the Hall of Fame? No, I think the Hall of Fame voters I've talked to are idiots that think that Jacoby needed help by the tight end sets that Gibbs kept using. It's not true at all. Anybody who watches the games knows that. Robo, what's my take on the defense being weak against zone or perimeter runs? A little surprised by it. The last game, especially against the Giants, I was surprised by that a lot. James is feeling confident. There you go. Good. Mr. Cool says the Texans game shows you can beat Dak and the Cowboys. Yeah, that last game, you just never know what's going to happen. Does Dallas have nothing to play for, or maybe they need that win, in the seeding, so maybe not. Ask again. So you don't know that who's going to rest who or any of that. I'm against resting players anyway. I think you should keep your machine running hard. Teams that take the last week off don't tend to, and then they usually have a bye, so they don't play for a couple weeks. They get whacked in the postseason. I say keep your foot on the gas. That's how you win. You guys can rest after the season, on that. But I'd keep them playing at least a half. Get them out there, do the stuff. And anybody's really banged up, not play. But other than that, you got to keep it going strong. Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, we had pretty good attendance tonight, so I appreciate that. More people watch on replay. So let me just say that if you are watching on replay, or if you want to miss part of the show and you'd like to see some more of it, it's on YouTube. As soon as the show is over with, they archive it and you can see the whole show, or go through whatever parts you want. If you follow the podcast I have with Matt, Matt wanted tonight off, so we not doing it this week. That's fine. So Seasons of Discontent will come back next week. And, of course, I have my shows, 2-minute shows that are on morning and evening, and sometimes during the day, too. I do whatever if news pops up. And I have a column in 1067 The Fan tomorrow about the Commanders and the playoff chances. So I do a little bit of everything, early in the week. And later in the week, I take off more since I've been doing this so long. Let's see. This Keeping Up says basically it's a playoff game this week. Yeah, because winner goes on, loser's got a tough road. Let's see. Moonshine Delight. There you go. Good name. Allen grinded the Skins the week before the Super Bowl and Shula let his players tan on the beach. And then they won. Miami won that one. So there's no hard rule to any of this stuff. But I keep my foot on the gas. When you let up, things happen. No, that was a great team. They were undefeated. Yeah, still the only undefeated team. Imagine if Philly wins and they have one loss and it'd be Washington that gave it to them. Gotta love that. I always say the weirdest games of the season are Washington Philly. When people wonder what happened, it always does this on there. So let's see, what else can we talk about? Anybody got any Christmas stories you want to talk real quick, or any of that stuff? People ask me in Washington where to go see stuff. I did see the National Tree. It looks great by the White House. I like it a little better than the Capitol tree in front of the U.S. Capitol, but they're both up. City Center has a tree up, but they like to say now that it's kind of a new part of town. They redeveloped. A lot of foreign money went through it. They do have a great tree, but screw you. You have no history in your tree, and I'm not paid to say, ooh, City Center, I'm not on their payroll. So I tell you, one place I do want to go to is Gordon Ramsay has a new fish and chips place on the wharf area. So, and I hear it's really good. I mean, it's just fried fish and fries, but I hear it's really good. He's opening up a regular Hell's Kitchen too. I think in January. So the dining scene in Washington, I was reading today about 50 restaurants have closed in recent months. Yeah, but I see tourism back in Washington picking back up. Not quite where it was, but it's come a long ways. A lot of people are in town for that. If you want to go see a great lobby for Christmas time, the Willard Hotel is the best one, I think, and that's near the White House, and it's 5 minute walk from the Christmas tree. And I was there twice this week, and they were carolers at night. They have a great tree. They do the whole thing. So I like them the best. The Mandarin Oriental is a really nice one too. Mayflower is a really nice one. So the hotel lobbies, they're free to go into, public space, so you can do that. All right, Marcus says I'm pulling for the Riverboat Ron. There you go. Why not? I mean, why else would you not be here? Here comes. I don't get many opposing fans come and listen to this. I get them to watch the videos at times, but that's their choice. On there, we passed the 10 millionth view on social media this about 2 weeks ago on this show. The show's 2 years old now. I guess we're going for 3. Modern technology. You guys are still watching, so I'm still doing it. And YouTube pays me some money. Nothing great, but enough. So, let's see. All right, last call. Yeah, it's 9:07. So, last call. Donate money. I'll ring the bell in your name, and we're going to give the money to the kids for Toys for Tots. So, thank everybody who donated for all that, because we're, raised enough to make some few kids happy. And like I said, if I don't get anything for Christmas, that's fine. I've had a good life, but doesn't work for kids. Let's see, the Code Talker. Glad to see him finally winning. Yeah, aren't we all? I got tired of covering losing teams. I was actually beginning this year when they're 1-4, really thinking I'm going to retire. I can. I don't have to work if I don't want to anymore. I was tired of this nonsense and Snider and all that. But everything changed. Snider said, I'm looking to sell. So I'm not going anywhere on there. MGM decorates their lobby pretty well. Yeah, I haven't been to MGM in a while, and I should, but I don't go to casinos much because you don't win it. I don't win any money. I don't know about the rest of you. They don't build those palaces for paying money away. But the MGM's nice. Built right by where the first president of the United States is buried. And that was not George Washington. Kevin, thank you so much for throwing in some money to help the kids. Timeless, what do I think of the interest with fan base? Still strong? No. The Commanders fan base is maybe a third of what it once was. Now, what it once was winning Super Bowls, and that does make a big difference. But those people have aged out now too, and the young people have a different world view of things, including they like fantasy ball, they like now the sports betting, red zone, totally different experience now. And they go to games to see the experience. Instead, I used to just grab a hot dog and sit in the stands and watch a game, but that's not what the young people do. So it's a different world. I think the fan base is maybe a third of what it once was. Used to be about one of the best ones in the league. Now I'm not sure. I have to think about ranking them, but they're probably in the top half, but that's probably about it. Keeping up with Joneses, the ex-wife. All right. Used to get me a new Redskins ornament every year. Did she smash them? Do I have any on my tree? I don't believe I do. Especially not this year because we just moved here and everything's in boxes. And my wife just said, let's get a new tree and just put some new balls up this year. And next year we'll worry about the old stuff. I think I do have a couple Redskins ornament now that I think about it, but not this year. Old school question to ask Scott. Is there really a 20, 30-year wait for season tickets? Yeah, kinda. They started selling out in 1966, and when they went to FedEx Field in '96, there was still that big list. But then they had a much bigger stadium, and within 10 years, they cycled through that list. So they would often say there's a 200,000 list of names, but not people waiting for tickets. But at one time, people would go a good 10 to 20 years being on a list. That was true. But that was true for kind of like the 70s, 80s. Because you had RFK at 54,000 tickets. That's all you could do. So, and hardly anybody changed over. It's kind of like Green Bay. I remember one year they were saying that 8 people didn't renew their tickets. 8 people out of the whole thing. And I know a lot of people generationally were Redskins fans. Their parents had the tickets. When they died, the kids took over the payments. And so they kept the tickets in the family. They kept their tickets. They didn't want to, have to just say, well, these are old. Let me buy new ones. They wouldn't get as good a seating or whatever. So team didn't care as long as they got their money. They didn't care who was sending the check in. So a lot of people did that. They took over their parents' tickets. And some of them, in some places like the Washington Post, I think they had like 250 tickets because they would use it for employees, and they would just acquire them over the years. And then Dan Snider got mad at the Post and wanted to cut them off. But hey, money's money, And now you can go get tickets all you want. So I would not buy season tickets just because if you're not going to go to every game, then just buy them on the open market for less and don't pay anything for games you don't want to go see. And the teams, the NFL now owns these ticket resellers, so they're really dumping their tickets at lower prices there and not admitting it. But you're still buying indirectly from the NFL. The old days of the scalpers who used to buy tickets, I used to know these guys. I don't even think they're around anymore. They always bugged me about tickets. And I had lots of family. I would get tickets, but I would have to pay for them. But they'd be a little bit better seats, I guess. But I used to buy tickets for family, but this stuff's expensive. But family and friends, I take care of them years ago. I don't do it anymore because I tell them just go online. You can get tickets. It's not hard on all this. All right, last call. That's my bell. So anybody have last questions, last money to throw, whatever you want to do, give it another minute. And then I usually do it was easier this week. I didn't have to do a Sunday game. Usually I start Sunday morning, 36 hours till I get to here. It's been all Redskins in my life, Commanders. But we had yesterday off. So what did I do yesterday? Oh, this and that. It was just kind of nice to hang out. FedEx can be packed on Sunday. I don't think so, but I think the crowd could hit 60,000. Obey the Lord. Moonshine, show up to the gate, let them kick off, and then pay whatever you want. That's true. And so many people tailgate for so long. They show up in the last few minutes for kickoff, and then there's big lines and wonder why. Come in a little earlier. Something like that. But, all right. So I think we're good. I think everybody's bailing on me anyway. So, all right. Time to say goodbye. I know you guys love to do this. I feel like I'm romper room in the old days. Steve, there you go. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming. Steve's a regular first guy in and sees the whole show. Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate that. Next Monday, I'll be back 8 to 9 Eastern, more or less. I always go a little late because there's no internet police to tell me to leave on all this. And I do appreciate all the money everybody donated. We will be buying toys for kids with all that money. So I do appreciate that. Thank you, Moonshine Delight. Peace and hair grease. Okay. No hair grease on mine. I got a haircut this week. You can tell. She got both of them. And Scott, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Everything. Honest Brute, peace out to you too. Thank you for coming. I always appreciate people coming. You don't have to do this. You got other things I'm sure you could do. So listen to me versus 10 other guys out there doing this stuff. So it's got those things. Victory Monday's coming. I think they'll win this week. I've been known to be wrong, but Zazu. Oh, okay, there you are. Thanks, Zazu. Appreciate you coming all the way from Calgary. Oh, it must have been the Calgary questions on there. I'm going to get to Calgary one day. It sounds like a great place. Steve's got no life either. Okay. Yeah, when you get old, the kids are grown and gone, the dog's dead. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of, things on your time as when you're younger and you would desperately want time. Now I enjoy doing the show. It gives me something to do Monday nights. Let's see. Now it's time to say goodbye to all our family. Yeah, I know. I remember that. Nobody names their kid Rick anymore, though. They'll never do that again. I don't know why. It's a cool name, but they don't do it anymore. I know somebody wanted to name his boy Atlas, and his wife wouldn't let him. And I thought, that's a cool name, Atlas. He grows up, you are not messing with some kid named Atlas. You'd think. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, I think we are done. So, all right. So if you're watching, you can see replay. We're getting ready to go. You can see the whole show, start to finish, or any part you want. The other shows are, of course, in the morning and evening, sometimes during the day, 2-minute shows. You can follow me on Twitter at Rick Snider's Washington also. And anything else. I don't know. If you have any questions, let me know. And that's it. So thank you all so much. I'm out of here. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you again soon, including next Monday. All right. Bye, everybody.